Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 25th Franklin School Board meeting. We are happy to everyone who's here, and we will get started with our public session with a salute to the flag. Rise.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Colleen, were the meetings posted as required? Sorta.
They were out there, they were hard to find.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move on to item number 4, public participation. This can take up to half an hour. We ask anybody who would like to speak from the public to state their name and the ward they live in, and to not speak for longer than 3 minutes, if at all possible. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that item and move on to item number 5, recognitions.
So I have 2 recognitions tonight. First, I want to recognize Carissa Coro for facilitating our school board retreat last week, and then the next morning facilitating the administrative retreat. She worked very well with both groups, and I can't thank her enough for doing the work that she did with us, and the outcomes that we came out with from both groups. And the second recognition is for Captain Jack Finley for driving the boat all day long with the administrative team on Thursday afternoon. He was a wonderful host and hosted the 10 administrators that were on board for our administrative getaway, which was wonderful. So Jack, can't thank you enough for a great afternoon, so thank you for that.
Other recognitions? Okay. We will close that item, and Kaylee still has the summer off, and so we will, she is free until next meeting. So next month she will be back with her first report, so we will welcome her back then. So we'll move on to item number 7, the approval of prior board minutes. We have the regular minutes for July 21st, and then the 2 non-public sessions for July 21st.
Motion we accept the regular July 21st public minutes.
All right, motion made by Jane. Seconded by Kayla. Any questions or comments?
On the absent board members, Lori and Jack need to change spots.
Okay. Colleen, we make note of that.
Lori and Jack. So it's listed that Lori Cass was in Ward 1 and Ward 2 was Jack Finley.
Oh,
But they just need to swap spots.
got it. With corrections.
With corrections. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? 2, Jack and Lori. All right, regular minutes passed. The non-public.
Make a motion to approve the non-public minutes from 5:31.
7:30. Oh.
Stand by. I gotta get my agenda back up. I apologize.
7:31 and 5:31.
From July 21st, both, you want to do them separately?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause, yes.
So the 5:31
p.m.
PM minutes, non-public.
Second.
All right, motion made by Jack, seconded by Jade. Any questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Jack and Lori abstain. All right, that passes. So we have the early set of non-public are all set. Now we need the later.
I make a motion that we unseal and accept the minutes from the 7/21 meeting,
non-public meeting at 6:44 PM.
Second.
All right, motion made by Michael, seconded by Jane. Any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Jack and Lori. All right, those all pass, and the later one will be unsealed. Thank you very much. And we can move on to item number 8, our financial report with Jefferson.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So, obviously this is fun stuff. After a lot of reconciliation, closing of encumbrance obligations, and calculating final revenue and expenditure numbers, we are very solidly back in the black with the district financials. We are still working on some final cleanup and resolving some outstanding special education issues. I anticipated having the completed state financial reports ready for the school board to sign at the September board meeting. Our general fund revenues have come in at $219,683 above budgeted. This was primarily driven by a higher than anticipated special education aid of $39,485, charter school aid at $33,165 higher, indirect costs higher by $84,126, interest from the bank account at $161,452, vocational transportation aid by $2,990, other local revenue by $22,585, and the EFA phase-out grant by $9,664 higher. These excess revenues offset Medicaid reimbursement, which was $56,911 under budget. However, it was higher than what we received in the prior year of FY '24. Our E-rate funding had come in at $8,385 less than the budgeted, and the FY '24 fund balance carried forward had come in at $68,438 under budgeted. During reconciliation and releasing of encumbrances, we recovered around $700,000 of anticipated special education expenses that did not occur. This was due to lower utilization rates of some of our contractors. I was concerned with our contractor costs during the year because we were transferring funds between accounts based on the contractor's needs changing at the different schools, such as moving some funds from elementary to middle school or vice versa, depending on the needs of the special education population. This is related to speech services, behavioral services, and occupational therapy, etc. This can make the tracking very difficult, but fortunately overall the total need came in less than the contracted amount, as we are only billed for the total of the services actually provided. We also had some out-of-district situations fluctuate where we had a couple of out-of-district students move completely out of Franklin or graduated. We had left these funds encumbered for any potential new out-of-district situations due to the volatility in this area. This affected both tuition and transportation costs. Fortunately, this potential did not come to fruition. We still have a couple of out-of-district situations we are awaiting resolution, which could improve our financial position once we know the outcome of those situations. In other areas of the budget, we had an additional $19,190 in regular education costs, primarily driven by substitute costs near the end of the year. We also had an additional $23,244 in operation of building expenses, of which approximately $13,500 was year-end distribution of unemployment and work comp costs, with the balance related to natural gas and electricity costs. There was $14,297 of additional unanticipated HVAC equipment and door repair costs. And we also recorded $29,500 transferred to the food service program to bring that up to even. To put this in perspective, we have budgeted $130,520 transferred to food service for FY '26 as part of our budget process. After all this is said and done, and the current projected fund balance is $577,406, of which we had budgeted a projection of $44,790 to help fund the FY '26 budget. This leaves $532,616 of additional funding. This additional funding will offset all of the expected reduction in adequacy aid from the original estimate provided by the New Hampshire Department of Education back in November, with some extra funding left over. Once we get the final numbers from the Department of Education, which they provide to us actually pretty soon here, and then it'll become public as to where we actually, how much money we are actually receiving for the FY26 year. The excess overall revenue, depending on where all of our revenues come in, when we submit our revised estimated revenues to the Department of Revenue Administration, that excess revenue then will be brought forward to the school board to accept, and then to the city council to allow us to appropriate those additional funds as needed. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And there will be a little bit of fluctuation because there are a couple of things still outstanding. And like I said, the special education stuff that we're still waiting to hear from a state agency in one situation and another district on another situation, and some other out-of-district facilities that we have some encumbered still waiting for potential bills on that, just to make sure that they have been paid in full for their services, but we have not gotten response from them when we've tried to reach out to them yet.
I have one question that,
Sure.
I don't know if it's for you, or for Rebecca, or it's for Dan, I don't know. I know that we're changing our Medicaid provider. Do we anticipate, or would you, in your position, anticipate more reimbursement opportunities?
That is what I'm hoping. I think from discussion with Rebecca, the platform that this new company uses is a lot easier and user-friendly. Also the administration fees will be lower, not a lot, by like, I think 0.5%. But I think it'll make it easier for a lot of our contractors and other providers within the school district that provide eligible services to be able to use the platform. I don't know a whole lot about the obstacles and challenges that any of them have had at this point. We've had some independent contractors that were working for us that got frustrated with some of the processes in the past, but we did have higher Medicaid returns this year than the prior year by almost $28,000 to $30,000 more, so that was a good trend in our direction.
Yeah, and don't forget that they were withholding some of the funds this year for the audit findings from 3 or 4 years ago, so we're paying that off through the reimbursement. That was the choice that you made as a board. So some of the funds that they withheld to start paying off that deficit. You remember what I'm talking about, the 31,000, I think it was, from the 2021 audit they had done. So that would be that would have come out of this revenue. So the fact that we still had more is a very good sign.
I just know that the estimate was 145 originally and came in as 88, so I would anticipate that if you were estimating at 145 this year, that with this new software, that we may actually be closer to that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's always a challenge to estimate because it depends on what services that we provide that will be eligible for reimbursement, and always the rules and regulations tend to change sometimes, and at this point, we don't know what things will happen at higher levels of the administration at the state and federal government, so keep our fingers crossed. And that is all I have. If anybody has any more questions at all?
Any other questions? All right,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you, Jefferson. All right, we'll close item 8 and move on to item 9, committee reports. And I can kick us off with policy. We had a meeting and also a forum to talk about one of the policies that we will be discussing today. So we were able to discuss a number of policies. We have a few that we will need to withdraw. We have a couple going for first read. And then we have 2 that are going to, that need to be fast-tracked that we're going to discuss tonight later. But just comments, so a lot of our meeting was made up of the parental involvement forum on the bell-to-bell cell phone ban, and I think we can all agree we're extremely grateful for everybody who came out and expressed their opinion. It was a great conversation. There was a lot of great information and a lot of viewpoints being shared that gave everybody a lot to think about. So we're really, really grateful for everybody who came out to that. But that is essentially what the policy committee has been up to. Our next meeting is on September 16th. She said confidently, I think it's on September 16th at 5:30. I believe that's what it is. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, it's after safety.
Perfect. September 16th at 5:30. And that is policy.
So the finance committee meeting that had been scheduled for last week on the 20th was postponed to make room for the cell phone bit policy forum. The joint finance committee met last month on July 29th and had, I think, a very fruitful discussion. There was lots of really great information shared, both by school board members, Dan and Jefferson, as well as some of the members of the city council as well. We did hold, I guess, between when we had our last school board meeting and now, we also held an emergency session of the finance committee on July 28th to discuss some changes, we'll say, in state funding levels to us, as well as some discontinuation of federal grant funding.
Do you happen to know when the finance committee meeting got moved to? Scheduled for?
Our next finance committee meeting is scheduled, I think, for
We need to schedule it.
Yeah.
it is not scheduled? Okay.
Yeah.
We should do that tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that as a late item.
Thank you. Other committees? Yes.
I too. And I'd like to thank Jules for taking very good notes because I forgot mine today. So we always start out with an inspirational video. It's actually one of my favorite things that we do. Jenny provided that video this time from Sir Ken Robinson. And he spoke about educating people out with their creative thinking. So basically when you're a child, you have no limitation to your creativity. But as you get older and you are educated that certain things can't happen, you start to lose some of that. So I thought that was very interesting. We also talked about having a library with all of the videos that we have shared over the past, I don't know how long, if we can go back, or just continue, move forward with it, provide that available to everybody, including parents and the community, because I think those are very interesting and thoughtful. We talked a little bit about goals and focuses for the year. We did a lot of that work during the retreat with Carissa, thank you. I'm sure there will be some information on the goals update. We talked about community outreach and education, and we talked also about originally what I2 was meant to be, and how it's kind of morphed and included a few more things than maybe weren't expected originally. So looking to kind of get back to the meat and bones of I2 and share the wealth on the other items with some of the other committees. There are some changes at Paul Smith that were discussed, which are very exciting. So with the 4th grade staying at Paul Smith, it opens up some ability to provide some additional education in some other areas, or support in certain areas. So the Title I team will do writing and support during that extra time. Reading support and technology and guidance are going to be available. We talked about artificial intelligence. That does seem to be a thing that should belong in I2. And Dan had mentioned the administrative team had attended a training at Plymouth Plymouth State University, and felt pretty good where we are right now in that area. Special education and artificial intelligence are actually a couple things that are on our agenda regularly, so we spoke a little bit about some of that information in regards to students that were coming into or being placed out of district. And also really good news that the school was awarded a grant from Crotchet Mountain.
Crotchet Mountain
Thank you.
Foundation. Yep.
For a feasibility study for the consortium, so that's great to see that will be moving forward. We talked about a lot. We went over the open enrollment in Franklin, and had discussion on that. We had a portrait of graduate update. James will be attending the welcome meeting on Wednesday. And good news that we are fully staffed at all 3 schools, minus a special education position in the middle school. And our next meeting is September 23rd at 6 p.m.
Okay. Any other committee reports?
Safety Committee meeting September 16th at 4.
September 16th at 4. Aha, thank you.
Also, Joint Finance Committee meeting tomorrow at 6
Joint Finance Forum
in the library.
And I know school board goals, we're gonna get to that at 11, so we can bypass that. Any others?
Negotiations tomorrow.
Negotiations tomorrow?
Wednesday.
I'm sorry, Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry.
It's tomorrow,
There's
Wednesday.
so many meetings.
Wishful thinking,
Yeah.
James.
Is it joint finance?
Franklin Public Library. Good.
Yep, second floor, Franklin Public Library. Okay, perfect. I think that covers it. Any others?
That's internal negotiations, that's just
Yeah,
us.
just us.
Just our team.
All right, wonderful. Great work. So we'll close to committee reports and move to item 10, new business with Superintendent Legallo.
Okay, I have a resignation tonight, and I need the board to accept the resignation of Paul Landau, middle school special education teacher.
Make a motion to approve the resignation as presented.
All right, motion made by Jack,
Second.
seconded by Leanne. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion passes.
Okay, I have some nominations tonight. I'm gonna do them separately, if that's okay. First, I'd like to nominate Kathy Shackford as our 8th grade middle school science teacher.
Make a motion to approve the nomination as presented for Kathy Shackford.
All right, motion made by Jack, seconded by Jane. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Nomination accepted.
Beautiful. Next, I'd like to nominate Stephanie Wolf as the Franklin High School behavior interventionist.
I make a motion to approve the nomination as presented.
Motion made by Michael, seconded by Kayla. Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Beautiful. And next, I'd like to ask for a stipend for our climate specialist, Jamie Smith, at the high school to take care of administrative duties as assigned by Principal Levesque for the 25-26 school year.
Make a motion to approve the stipend proposal as presented.
Motion made by Jack, seconded by Leanne. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Okay. In front of you, you have, or on your computers, sorry, we discussed the fall nominations of the middle school and high school coaches. We can do these either together or separately, whatever is your pleasure.
We typically do them separately.
Okay.
In case anybody
So
has.
let's start with the middle school. So I want to nominate the middle school fall coaches to you for your approval.
Make a motion to approve the nominations as presented of the fall FMS coaches.
Ooh, motion made by Jack, seconded by Jane. We'll give her that one. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And then I'd like to nominate the fall coaches for Franklin High School athletic teams.
So moved.
All right, motion made by Jane, Seconded by Leanne. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
All right. So as was mentioned, we have received a $30,000 grant from the Crotched Mountain Foundation for conducting a feasibility study with the 8 to 10 other local districts that are working together on this out-of-district special education consortium. So we were very pleased to receive that grant, and I will be asking you to accept that grant now, and we'll be moving that along to the city council for the city to accept as well.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant as stated.
Okay, motion made by Leanne,
Second.
seconded by Kayla. Any questions, comments?
It's just in the letter, it said that we have to abide by the terms and conditions, and I'm understanding that it's just that you have to do a full reporting by the end of next year, and that's all the terms and conditions that are,
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?
I'm gonna abstain from this one.
Okay. What? Motion passes. One
All right.
abstention with Jack.
Fantastic. Okay, meal prices for 25-26. We discussed this last spring, and we discussed bringing it back in August to have some more conversation. So I did put in the board folder the information from last spring that Brenda had put together for you regarding our breakfast and lunch prices for our students. So we wanted to bring it back to you for consideration, and obviously Jefferson and I could answer questions if you have any, and just need to know where we're gonna go with this particular item.
What's the current, I see what they want to charge, but what are we currently charging for a meal?
$3 for lunch, $4 for adult lunch, $1.25 for breakfast.
Thank you, Liz.
And so we're suggesting to go up to either 325 or 335? Is that just lunch, or is that for each meal, or? Maybe I'm not looking at the right thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at what
That would
Leanne's.
be lunch, Leanne, that would be lunch, yeah. When I last talked with Brenda, she was looking for at least a 10-cent, she thought at least a 10-cent increase would show progress in the right direction. You know, and that was over the summer that I had talked to her about it, so. But certainly it's your, you know, call to make about what you wanna do, or whether you wanna just leave it the same.
Is it 10 cents across the board for
So how that works is it's determined off of a tool that the U.S. Department of Agriculture sends us out. It's called the Paid Lunch Equity Tool. It's just for paid lunches for kids. And what that tool is meant to do is try to bring the school paid lunch prices that we sell food closer to parity for what we get reimbursed from the federal government for the free meals that we provide. We're not very close to it at all, but they provide us, I think, close to $4, over $4 a meal from the federal government. We haven't changed the price long before I started here, so it's been
a long
8 or 9 years. It's not necessary to us for increasing the price. Obviously, we take a lot of things into consideration, certainly our population, ability to pay and so forth. Increasing the prices doesn't necessarily mean that we'll receive a lot more income or anything like that for our food service program. The tool itself says if you're going to increase your prices, we recommend at least a minimum of 10 cents per meal. We can obviously go up to any amount we have if we choose to do so. If we don't change the meal price, then what we're saying is we will cover the difference from non-federal funds, which we already do. We already budget general fund money to help support the food service program, so that's just what we would continue doing. And the amount of money we're talking about is not a huge amount of money, probably a few $1,000s, where we're budgeted already to support the food service program at around $130,000. So,
If we do the 10 cents just for students, though, will we
correct.
see the 10
Yeah,
cents
you
for
can
the
adjust any
teachers?
of those
or-
meals, but
years ago, I believe.
Yeah, we went up a
Right.
quarter, I think.
But I mean, that's only a small amount of purchases you're talking about here. The primary driver is the paid meals for the children.
So changing the price does not impact the amount that we receive from the federal government. We get reimbursed from the federal
Yeah,
government.
no, yeah,
It
that's
would,
just purely based off of our
it
claims.
would theoretically increase the amount that we just get directly and use to cover,
Yeah, exactly,
the difference.
more what we would get from students or families that pay for their lunch, meals, so and so forth.
okay.
There's a lot of things that you take into consideration, like participation rates and stuff like that. If the meals are more expensive, you might not have as much participation. You also might have potentially more unpaid debt, because we're not allowed to deny meals or anything like that. So there's a lot of subjective potential situations that could occur there also.
But the recommendation from our food services coordinator is
Was to increase it by a dime.
increase
Just
it by
because
at
we
least a
haven't
dime.
in so long, we haven't moved it at all, the needle at all.
Okay. That would be ideal, yeah. That would move things along.
So purely, in order to continue the conversation, I will make the motion that we consider a price increase as recommended by our food services director of 10 cents for student lunch.
Just lunch,
For,
Student meals, right?
student meals, breakfast and lunch?
Yeah, I believe that's.
You take away from
Let's see,
breakfast.
it says, so the original one that we got says, we have not increased our student prices for lunch in 7 years. We should be charging at least $3.25 to $3.35, is what Brenda sent out in the spring.
So that was maybe a quarter instead of a dime.
okay, so
That's just not the conversation to have with her after that.
Yeah,
Just
so
you
that,
know.
so it sounds like things changed, so maybe a dime for both meals would be,
So the motion, in line with the most recent recommendation from our food services director to increase student meal costs by 1 dime.
Second.
motion made by Michael, seconded by Jack. Questions, comments, other discussion?
With the new, have they changed the qualifications for free lunch for the kids? I mean, are there any kids that now that, did they reduce that number?
I think the federal poverty guideline number has shifted. It's usually updated once a year.
Okay, well, that's what I'm wondering is, okay, so
They do change the federal income poverty levels every year based on inflation, I believe. But it's a national income scale. So obviously that affects everybody in the country, and certainly in the state.
I guess what I'm getting at is, are there any kids that did qualify for free lunch that no longer do? That
We
now,
don't know
are they
that.
on that borderline?
We don't actually will know that, because we don't have to do that submission until October 1st. Obviously, we're sending out documents over the summertime and when kids return to school to have them complete the free and reduced applications. And we will see if there will be families that fall off of that, because the guidelines or the federal poverty income scale that we have to use is based on size of household and size of income in that household. And, obviously the families change and so forth, so we'll have to see when those applications come through. There is obviously a direct certification list that is based off of these families that get services from other state agencies for like SNAP or TAMP or whatever else. Those people automatically qualify for free meals.
I think those guidelines have changed as well. People that did qualify for SNAP don't qualify now to some degree.
Yeah, obviously anything that's changed at a federal level will impact any of that stuff.
Go, I saw Jack, Lori, and then Michael.
In the revenue sheet, we have a deficit of 109,000 for the food service that we transferred over.
No, $29,500 we transferred over this year. Because we had fund balance we still had on the books. opinion, it would be awesome if we went to that at a federal level where all meals were 100% paid for and fully reimbursed. The surrounding New England states, Maine, Vermont, and Massachusetts have done that at a state level. But we also had a much higher participation rates when the meals were free for all the students during COVID too. So we had a much higher participation rate on that. So we were able to claim a lot more meals to the federal government during that time. So we were able to have a profitable couple of years there. But this past year and the year before, when things have gone back to normal, we've been using that fund balance. And this year we've completely depleted it for FY '25, and so we had to provide an extra $29,500 from the general fund to cover the difference.
Laura?
I think, to just tag on to what Mike had said, or the question that he had, I think we've seen a trend in the past year where families that did qualify have just squeaked out of that. So we are seeing more students that still have a need, but don't quite hit that threshold.
That was,
Yeah, well, Michael and then.
that was what I wanted to say.
Just some back history, I'm just curious, because I know at one point, well, it's my understanding at one point that the SAU provided meals for the charter school, and we no longer do that. When did that change, and how much did that affect our revenues?
It changed when the charter school moved out of Franklin and over to Northfield.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so, and, we were providing meals to that entire school. So clearly, there were students there on the free and reduced lunch list that we were recovering federal funds from. And when did that change? Was it 2 years ago, Jefferson? Or was it last year?
I think it was last year.
I think it was
that
last
changed.
year.
Yeah, last
So-
year, start of FY '25, because that's when they moved into the old Union
Right.
Sanborn building in Northfield.
So did that impact our revenue from
It
food
definitely
service?
impacted our revenue, but it also impacted our cost. So it doesn't mean that, it's hard to predict that, obviously, because inflation's been very high. So to determine whether the cost that we would have needed to be able to provide those meals to the charter school and the revenue that we received from the charter school, and it was the similar situation. Some of the kids in the charter school qualified for free and reduced meals and some did not. But like certain things, like a lot of the supplies we needed to store the foods, to transport it to the charter school and so forth, some of those costs have diminished because we don't have to do that anymore. But it's hard to predict how much cost of our program changed and how much of the revenue. Well, I can tell you how much on the revenue changed. That's an easier number to determine. The cost level is harder because of inflationary pressures on everything. And our overall costs with food items and supplies and stuff have just been going up related to our
Thank you, I was just.
buying groups and so forth.
All right, I have Mike, Kayla, and then Jane.
How much did you say it costs to run the food service program district-wide?
So I can tell you what we have, so I'll tell you what we spent this past year. $722,635 was the cost of our program. The revenue that we took in for this year was, well, it's actually, so let me subtract out what we supplied from the foods general fund here. So we received revenues, which include paid meals, families that paid, and claims through the federal government and the state government, $637,146.32 approximately. We transferred $29,500 from the general fund on top of that, and we had a fund balance of $55,989 that we used up also to cover the expenses that we had for the year.
And we no longer have that.
Correct, that means our fund balance now goes to zero.
Kayla?
When we talk about the rise of inflation, when they readjust, does that income limit grow higher? And if people are being kicked off of SNAP, should we be encouraging more people filling out the forms?
Well, Brenda is very, very, very good at reaching out to families, going to their houses even, stuff like that, to, she knows these families very well, so she's got the outreach down to a T. She goes out, she helps them fill out applications and whatever else, obviously encourages them as much as she can to explore that option. But it is highly possible too that there are a lot of people that have now, their incomes have grown because of where they work and so forth, but just barely above that limit, which doesn't mean that their lives are so much easier now, so it's all can be a challenge. But Brenda's always on top of making sure people fill out the forms, providing the forms, even helping them, going to their house and helping them to fill it out and so forth. Obviously, if things as far as their eligibility for other state services change, and that can be related to regulation change at the federal level or even at the state level.
Okay. Jane, Mike, Jack.
Do we have a rough guesstimate of the percentage of kids or children across the district that ended the school year with negative balance for the meal program? I know we have a lot of support from community members come in to help take care of that arrearage, but before that assistance, I just wonder if we have like a rough guess of percentage, like 10%.
Percentage of the kids, but I can give you a dollar amount.
Okay.
Is that something that you would like? Let me just take a look at this real quick.
Do you want to cover next things while
I don't think I need Jefferson on mine.
Okay, yeah. Then, yeah,
Doing his thing.
while Jefferson looks at that little.
Obviously, I'm just torn in two different ways. One, Brenda, as Jefferson just attested, Brenda knows her job well, knows our families very well, made this recommendation. So, I mean, knowing the other parts out there in the ether about current economy, things like that, I guess I'm gonna trust that she is making this recommendation with all of those factors in mind, and I don't know. And I'm gonna lean on Jefferson and Dan's opinion to help me decide.
And that's, so we'll go to Mike and we'll come back. That's kind of where we're in the unfortunate position where either way, we're going to keep coming up short. We are aware that we have families that are still struggling, but are now likely, not confirmed, but likely we're going to be receiving less of the federal reimbursement numbers, which is usually really helpful. And this year we know that already fell short, and so if we don't raise the cost, we're going to absolutely continue to fall short if those federal reimbursement numbers stay where they are or we don't get as much money. So and if we raise it, then we do run the chance, like Jefferson said, of having there be a minimal impact, because if people can't afford the 10 cents, then they're not going to be able to pay that, and so we're going to lose money that way. And again, we don't have the fund balance to cover it. So I am also torn. I'm leaning on trusting Brenda and on the idea that knowing what's federally, what is happening, we could make a tiny step and try it out and see what happens to try to cover some of those costs, which we're going to keep incurring if we continue not doing anything. That being said, do we have the?
Yeah, so our total ending year balance of the total dollar amount of outstanding meals was $9,428.65. We had students that had money still on their accounts at the end of the year at the amount of $4,714.12. So it's a net of about, $4,800 difference.
get too soapboxy here and try to articulate a thought. I'm sorry. There's some kind of breakover point somewhere, right, where it will get too expensive for kids to buy lunch, right? Maybe we're already past that, right? Maybe, I don't know what the number is, right? Maybe 5% of our student population aren't getting lunch or breakfast because they can't afford it, right? Maybe they could afford $2, but they can't afford 3. I don't know that number. But there's a way to look at this where the cost recoup that the school would get from increasing the price, because we know that students perform better when they're fed, right? So if we were to say, you know, instead of taking $100,000 and paying a new teacher, right, we take that $100,000 and apply it here toward reducing the price of lunch to have a broad impact across the board on student performance, or at least for those who can't afford it. What's the better option, right? What's going to be the better outcome for the students? I don't know the answer, but this is what I'm caught up in here, because I do respect and understand where Brenda's coming from, but I also know what we see from places where lunches are free and meals are free, and how it does impact student performance. So I don't think I'm going to be able to vote yes on this.
I agree with Mike, and I have an immense amount of respect for Brenda, don't get me wrong, but I can't vote in favor of increasing.
Right? If we can't afford it now, if we increase it, we still can't afford it.
Has some work to do at the state level and other states aren't paying for it. All right, I say we vote. All those so the motion on the table, reminder, is an increase of 10 cents for the student meals of breakfast and lunch, which would make it $185 and, nope, $135 and $310. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All the, aye? Okay. Yeah. Maria, was your hand?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
4. Okay. All those opposed?
Wow. 5, sorry, 5. Motion fails.
Yeah, no abstentions. Okay.
All right, we good with that? Moving, student
Hey,
handbooks.
we can bring it up as a late item again.
20
We can
minutes
do.
No, we're good.
It's the first time it's happened, oh God.
Good discussion. 25-26 student handbooks. So our principals have been working all summer long on the student handbooks and the faculty handbooks. And they're in your board folder finally. Sorry for the lateness of getting them in there. But I think what we could do is go one at a time, if that makes sense to you guys. And, you know, they'll take feedback, and if we gotta make changes, we'll make changes, and we wanna get them ready for next Tuesday, for when the kids come back to school. So, let's start with Mr. Lewis at the elementary school, Jay.
Start with the student parent handbooks?
Yeah, students, we're gonna start with the student handbooks.
Okay.
I don't know, we don't need a presentation, I don't think. I think we just need board members, if there's questions you wanna ask of Jay, or if there's changes you wanna suggest to Jay, or if you wanna just tell Jay, wonderful job, Jay. Go to print, as they say.
Of all of the handbooks, I do want to give kudos to Jay. I did like a lot of the stuff that you had in there. A lot of it is sort of merged with the other ones. Jay had a couple different things. You had the link to the strategic plan, which I didn't see in all of them. So maybe, okay. Well, it stood out in PSS, so sorry, I called.
It's in there.
I did like the images of the snowflakes behind the text on some of the other ones. Other people had images in there,
but that was pretty neat, nice job. The only thing I wanted to check on, page 5, it references AC policy, and I think this goes for all the handbooks. The AC policy, we updated that in December, some of that original language, so I just wanna make sure that the handbook and the policies are synchronous. Because some of the stuff says, the handbook says on the basis of age, gender, race, creed, color, religion, marital status, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, national, ethnic origin, or disability for employment or participation, blah, 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 blah. And the policy has a subtle difference in there. So I just ask that you look at the policy AC, that original language, and just make sure it's reflective.
Can you say what the subtle difference was again?
Based on age, race is second in our policy, but it's third in the handbook.
Okay,
So
I'm
that-
gonna highlight this so I can remind myself to go back.
Yeah, I mean, if you just take it verbatim, color is third in the policy, but it's fifth in the handbook. So you see what I'm saying? Just make sure that those nuances are reflective both from the policy and the language in the handbook, that's all.
And Jack, you said updated in December?
I think it was, well, when did we update policy?
I have March.
I was gonna say, cause the link says March, so I
Okay,
just.
sorry, thank you.
Yep, March
I couldn't
2025 is the, so yeah, the updated one is on the SE website, so yeah.
Page 12, just revisit the cell phone and electronic policy.
Yeah, it will be updated maybe, probably tomorrow after
Yeah,
the board
okay, all right.
finishes.
All right, good, just wanna make sure. And then one of the ones, page 23, number 1, it said, I don't have my printout, can you,
Oh, sorry.
School board does not approve bus stops.
page 23,
I'm way off.
do you have it on there? No.
I'm sorry.
Advertising in schools?
Number 1, what does number 1 say?
Neither the facilities, the name, the staff, nor the children of the school system, nor any part thereof shall be employed in any manner for advertising or otherwise promoting the interests of any commercial or other non-school
That is.
agency.
That's not right.
I think you're talking about all pupils will be picked up and dropped off only at predetermined stops approved by the school board.
Yes, approved by the school board, that one. That was in our policy, a long time ago, that is no longer in our policy. So school board doesn't,
The entirety of number 1 or just the school board part?
just the school board approving the bus stops. That's no longer an EEA.
You said page 23?
Yes.
Of the.
You have to look at the page, the document pages, not
Yeah.
the printout pages. A little, just, I don't know, kind of, can we replace gotten on page 31 with achieved? A? Can we do that?
Hold on a second, Jack.
Sorry.
That's all right. Page 31, you said?
Yes. It's hard because I can't see it on here. Oh wait, maybe it's on here.
I didn't print those out either, I only printed the cover
All right,
page
Jack,
out
where
there.
you see, where you?
Yeah.
Oh, yep, okay. If you, okay, I can fix that.
I mean, obviously, this has to go with everybody else's approval. And then that was it for PSS. For me, sorry, thank you.
Any other questions for Jay or fixes or suggestions for his student handbook? Everybody's good?
There's a space between 12 and 13 in the parental bill of rights.
I already fixed it,
You
actually.
did, okay, thank you.
You want to approve these separately or individually?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Separately or individually?
Sorry, separately or collectively? Thank you, Liz, you got that.
I could have said it, that was such a rude way of me bringing it up. I think separately is easier.
You want to do it separately?
Yeah,
then get
please,
that
let's
out.
do that. So,
Make a motion to accept the PSS, student parent handbook, as edited.
all right, motion made by Leanne,
Second.
seconded by Jack. Questions, comments? I'll just note that there is already language about the updated phone policy, but that will be further updated after tonight, after we do that. So just a note on that. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right,
All
motion
right.
passes.
Ginny, you are up next. Middle school,
fire away, Jack.
middle school student handbook.
Anybody else have anything?
So,
Say no, Jack.
I was not able to review these, prior to this meeting. They weren't in here last night. So I just want to, if you can confirm that the new cell phone policy and the parental bill of rights are both in here?
Yep, they are.
Thank you.
Well, the policy isn't in until, I mean, it doesn't go out until we get the final
Okay.
one. We have another meeting tomorrow at 2:00?
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 2 o'clock we meet to
Yeah, we have
finalize
a 2
that.
o'clock meeting to make sure that we have all of those.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Personal opinion here, I'm not a huge fan of the, like the highlight contrast, like the dark blue with white type, because it makes me think that those things are like selected on the screen.
Have those been contrast checked for accessibility?
Your headers, the headers on each paragraph, that's outlined in blue.
Yes, have they been, say that again?
Have they been, has the color contrast been checked for accessibility?
How would one do that?
There are accessibility checkers that are free.
It's ADA policy.
And you
Okay.
can also, if it's done in Word, I believe Word actually has its own now. But there are a couple other free extensions that can be used to do that.
To make sure all visually impaired colorblind people can see it. Yes.
See, I just didn't make.
I assume the blue and white was good because that's what the high school does and we're trying to have them all be comparable.
We can, as long
But
as
I
it's
can
checked-
change it back to black and white if that would make everybody happier.
There's one that isn't bolded and it does become difficult to see. Like Pledge of Allegiance policy is not, the white text isn't bolded. So that's just, if we can just, it takes like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, if we could just do that, that would be awesome, just to double check, make sure at least we have double A. Compliance would be great. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Page 11, this goes for,
Wait, hang on, let me get on the same page.
this goes for the staff handbook as well as the parent-student handbook.
Okay.
Underneath the parental bill of rights, eliminate the portion of board policy manual, NHSBA policy management console section.
Oh, well, I can get rid of all that, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I was hoping that was the case.
Yep.
It seemed like a lot of extra stuff, but we were.
All the way through the district policy history.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So all of
There's
it,
a parent one and then there's
all
a
the
teacher one.
console gone.
Okay.
Deleted.
Just be careful, because it's gonna change your page numbers, because I got,
haven't done the
Okay,
page
good.
numbers yet, 'cause I had to.
oh, well, I had them on that, they were in the top left of the, they were in the top
Yeah,
left
they're
of
in the
your,
top left,
Thought
that's
it was
interesting.
specific to the
Well,
bill.
yes, but I mean, those pages don't align with the table of contents yet.
oh, yes, but I referenced them, so don't make any changes yet, because it's gonna adjust everything.
Okay, all right, I'll take
Page 14,
it. Yep.
can you continue the strike-through in the delayed opening section? Cross out the decision will be announced? Is that an option?
Wait a minute. Yes,
Because that's, it's just hanging out there.
yeah.
Appreciate it. Page 17, you got some gray font instead of black font, so just make sure it's all black. That's the actual paragraph content?
Oh, energy drinks, DoorDash, gray.
Yeah, yeah.
On which page?
Page 17, make sure all the font is the same color.
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, obviously, I've gone blind, because I'm not seeing that. But I'm going in now. All right, can you see something different?
No, because ours is a PDF document.
Yeah, we have a
So.
static PDF.
Page 18, 19.
Yep.
This, I'm not sure about the strike-through and the highlights on that. Can you just clarify that? Because
Probably.
Oh.
the physical education is struck,
Well, because we struck it for
Mhm.
your approval, because we don't have any of the other allied arts. None of the other allied arts had these big explanations, and it seemed odd that we only had one for there. So we were like, this makes more sense to just get rid of that. And then tech ed is crossed because we no longer have a teacher.
And then, but you highlighted the strike through for the media center. So you're adding it.
Because
and taking it away.
originally that was new, but then when we had our second review, we decided we weren't
Okay,
going to have
that
it.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it.
See, I know, there's a lot of process with this stuff when you,
Understood.
yeah, yep.
Thank you. Page 21.
Oops, hang on. Yeah, I think I'm there. Yes, I'm there.
Can you do all caps to separate that as a new header? It is.
Which thing?
It is clubs and organizations. So that is a new subheader, and then the clubs and.
Oh, yes, I can.
Underneath, so.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thank you. Page 32. I have a question on the terminology.
Let's hope I have an answer to that. Almost there. Okay, I'm there. Where are we?
So in the detention, which we added detention in there now,
Yes.
but most of the first, well, the 4 bullets refer to student-teacher meetings.
Yes.
And then the paragraph that follows, it mentions detention. So I don't know if those words are synonymous, it's student-teacher and detention, or just keep it consistent throughout.
The teacher, a teacher meeting would be a time in which a student was meeting with a teacher outside of classroom time, potentially before, after school, maybe it's during lunch, with the purpose of building a relationship and talking through perhaps some issues that are prohibiting the optimal learning in that classroom. And that's, so it's not done to be punitive, it's done to try to support a relationship and get everybody moving in the right direction. When those fail, the teacher is not the person holding on to the responsibility for that, and it is a consequence of, let's say, not showing up to a teacher meeting or not doing, then we are doing the detentions as more of a time for them to sit and fill out an impact statement on like how their behaviors or actions are impacting others, which is more in the lines of a
I would just,
punitive consequence. You didn't hear that out of my mouth.
no, I understand,
Yeah,
I think it just made me want to clarify that
Okay.
within that paragraph, that's just kind of.
that's fine.
And then, I believe, now I didn't have time to look this up, but I think it's a requirement that we have to add the non-discrimination Title IX 504 coordinator.
I ha-
All
it-
of this
It's in there.
Is it in there?
Yep, it's in everybody's.
I see Title IX.
And it should,
I see 504.
504, you see it? I can't tell you where it is because things have gotten moved around so much. I just know it's in there.
And then I did say that I like the addition of all the images. It breaks it up.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. So good.
Are there questions for Jeannie?
We can confirm that large text, the header contrast, it passes AA and AAA in large text. It passes AA and when it's small text and not AAA, but AA is the standard currently. So I say you can keep it for this year, but maybe revisit.
So do you want a larger font?
It's the difference in the colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So would that mean is it like a richer, more bold color as opposed?
A darker blue,
Okay. I'll just do it I'll just do it. It's fine. I was just trying to mimic Dave's stuff.
Yeah, perfect, and we're gonna
Copying Dave.
contrast check the high school one in about.
But his are, like, he does that whole strip
The whole
across,
header?
and I, quite frankly, was having a little problem with that and gave up, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this, so. We all have our specialties, that was not mine.
Any other questions or comments? If not, we'll take a motion.
I make a motion to accept the middle school
Parent and student handbook as edited
For the middle school.
for the middle school.
Motion made by Leanne,
Second.
second by Marie. Question, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
All right. And next up is the high school handbook.
Okay, can you confirm that the cell phone policy and the parental bill of rights will be, okay, thank you.
Don't you worry.
Marie.
I just noticed that there's two sections that are listed as tardiness to school. One on page 14, and then further down on page 16. You just have it in there twice.
Be happy to delete it.
What's that?
I'll be happy to delete.
Ginny, I can also say, I think part of the sans serif fonts are easier to read, like in the high school one, it's a sans serif font, and the font in the middle school one is a serif font, which can contribute to that, so it would be like,
What does he have?
he has a sans serif font, so just like the straight letters
Yeah.
instead of all with the tails, so that might be something to think about for future ones as well, of just changing font to like a Calibri or any one of those, that, because I was like, they are similar, I was like, why is this easier to read? That can contribute to that, so.
Can't easily look up dyslexic and like accessibility fonts on Google too.
Yes, that is true. Jack?
On page 9, same thing with the Paul Smith one, the AC language, policy AC.
Yeah, I fixed it.
Okay.
On mine, I just fixed it when you guys were talking about it.
Okay.
I cut and pasted and fixed the link. Well, I knew I had time.
He's a people pleaser, come on.
Page 20. You left the header in there for class rank, but you struck everything in it. Is that also going to be taken out?
Yes.
All right, I see. Thank you. The question about co-curricular activities.
Page right below that.
Yes, 20. The following co-curricular activities are available to students. Can you guarantee?
No, so I'll know Thursday.
So can we say may be available?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take out the ones that I know are not
Gonna be happening on Thursday.
Okay.
So my plan, I know that Tri-M is not,
I did see that you struck that.
right,
Yeah.
and last year, these were all there, and then some didn't come through at the end, so I'm having a meeting with the advisors for this, and if they're not gonna happen, I'm gonna strike them all, that are not gonna be there. But I can either leave it May, and leave them all, or delete it. I like
just
deleting
wanna make
stuff.
sure, it says are, so it's
Yeah.
like we have to offer those.
So let me,
It's
I'll,
in black and white, so. That's all.
well, we also have to get rid of field hockey too, so, right now, but,
Maybe.
no, it's not happening.
Well, I'm saying, if you say may be available,
Yeah.
it's covers it.
Check your local listings. These are the local listings.
All right, I'll just put May and then May,
Follow your.
and then I'll highlight it.
You ready for the next one?
Yes, sir.
Page 29.
I just want to make sure it's accurate.
What part?
The music players. Electronic equipment. Students may individually and appropriately use music players. Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez, starting classes.
Yeah,
Well, that's gonna fall under the cell phone piece, so this may
well,
be.
not if it's not a personal communication device. A personal
Right.
communication device can connect to Wi-Fi. If there is just strictly a music player that is only, cannot connect to Wi-Fi and only is used to play files, that is a separate thing. So I would recommend clarifying this as it relates to personal communication devices. Maybe reference that, and, or just more clearly differentiate it once the language of the policy is passed in about half an hour, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I think that would make lives
Yeah.
easier.
Fixes.
That leads to the next one, page 34.
Just a reminder, you've got, which is a note for yourself, I believe, just make sure you take out that red font.
Yes.
Okay, just don't leave it in there. And this may be something for a policy. It's the page 37, JFA 2 policy. Moment of silent reflection. I know it's new, it's added. So I was looking for JFA policy 2. I mean JFA, no, is that the policy I was looking for? I can't remember. So we do a full 60 seconds.
Yeah, so this is new for us, so we put all in our handbooks, so they're identical, so if there's a moment of silence, it'll be full 60 seconds.
It's a long time.
Like it short? It's up, it's a problem. It's up.
It's been in my thing since I got here, 'cause it was. Allegiance, moment of silence.
Since 2017, it has existed.
But I think the language that we have offers more freedom.
60-second period each
A
morning.
60-second period of silence each morning, and it's 94. And then reviewed in 17.
Simplified it. So I wanna make sure that you're gonna do it if it's in here. Cause some language, like, you can provide it if you so choose. So that was the only thing. 6 seconds is a lot of time.
This just says the board insists upon allowing its administration, faculty, and students a moment of peace with their personal thoughts. The board believes it would be consistent with the Constitution of the United States to observe a 60-second period of silence each morning.
Policy committee.
As long as we all understand, we're not encouraged, we do not encourage prayer or religious practices.
The JFA 2 doing right, I'm gonna jot that. Why are we telling people what we're doing?
60 seconds is a long time.
Telling people,
It's a long
We
time.
don't do announcements every day as well, so it's not, we try to, but it's sometimes it just, it goes by.
Well, we do it at the middle school every day, but it is, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not always a full 60 seconds.
That's what
I mean, I've never seen Joyce hold up a clock or anything.
yeah.
And sometimes it seems like, let's everyone be seated for a moment of silence, and it seems like 3 seconds later she goes, and, you know, so.
Okay, that was it.
Glad we have some clarification. I'll try to make it longer.
10 seconds, that's
So-
a small amount of time.
Just for clarification, are you okay with the long header in blue with white? Because I can change it to a darker blue if you want.
a darker blue, I believe, would be more.
Okay?
I liked it because it divided the section.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
more significant.
It's definitely more legible.
Or he
especially
could
with
just
the
teach
font,
me how to do
But
it.
yeah.
Text box.
I'm a fan of consistency across the district, so if you two could
Carissa started the whole thing years ago.
It's Carissa's fault.
Darken the color.
So we'll make it the darker blue, not our school
If
blue.
he's double A, but
I
it's
know
on
that.
triple A, and it's only a matter of time until we have time with triple A, you might as well go when I did it 4 years ago. Yeah, which, again, darker would be better. 'Cause FHS definitely has a darker blue.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do a darker. Anything else? All right. Need a motion for the high school handbook.
Make a motion to approve the Franklin High School handbook as edited.
All right, motion made by Michael,
Second.
seconded by Leanne. Questions, comments?
Just comment, I wanna say thank you for putting the accreditation section on page 3. Whenever you begin the handbook.
Okay. Any other, thank you. Questions, comments? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
All right, so we're gonna do faculty handbooks next, and we're gonna start with Dave.
I forgot there were 6 of
We'll
them.
work our way
I forgot there were 6 of them.
left to right. Faculty handbooks.
His list is finished.
Yes.
The emergency language on page 18/19. Is there a way that both the high school and the middle school could adopt the language from Paul Smith schools? It's on pages 18-19 of Paul Smith School. Because the way that it's written in the Paul Smith School, it differentiates between evacuation, because I could tell that sometimes the evacuation was sort of redone, but it's differentiated because it cites, well, if we can cite the actual RSA 189-64, we can do that, that'd be great. But it shows exactly what you're supposed to do, because some people may get confused. I know they're not gonna refer to the handbook when they're in the middle of an emergency and be like, oh, I gotta do this. But if we at least keep it consistent across all the schools. So I know that you put it in there, and if that's a direct, which I don't believe it is, from EBCB, periodically 10 emergency drills will be scheduled during the school year. Students will report to their WeConnect teacher once outside. So you're not doing that for every emergency drill. That would be for an evacuation drill. See what I'm saying? So just Jay's language, or the Paul Smith's language, is more complete. So,
Send it to both of us, because I'm looking for mine.
I think that's it.
Any other questions, comments,
sure.
suggestions for the high school staff handbook? Okay, we'll take the motion. All right, motion made to approve the FHS faculty staff handbook as edited, made by Leanne,
Second.
seconded by Jane. Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Oh, aye. Sorry. Yeah. I approve. Sorry.
You had 3 options, Jack.
All right, Ginny's up next.
All right, middle school staff faculty handbook.
I'm ready.
Yes.
This one has the blue bars all the way across.
It doesn't, it has some.
Oh.
It doesn't have all of them, though.
Yeah, so that's sort of goes to my point. If you're able to just fix the fonts and the margins, so they're the same throughout the document, just to, if you have the option to do that.
I'll help her. I have to tell you, Vicki and I worked on trying to move some of those babies in.
Yeah, I know.
We did.
Carissa, will you
It
tag
is.
you in? All right,
I don't know why. I can't even tell you why, but yeah, we were working on it.
word is strong.
On page 30, did you get rid of that section, that same section again, under the parental bill of rights? That we don't need?
Because I didn't want to mess up any of the numbers.
I appreciate that, thank you.
But I looked at it, went, oh, no, don't delete it yet.
Okay.
Jack might have a number.
Your emergency stuff is on page 47,
Yeah, I know, right? Phew.
so if you can just make sure that that's the same as
Same
Paul
as
Smith,
this,
that would be
yes.
awesome.
Vicki also mentioned, and, she also mentioned potentially changing some stuff in that, but I think because we don't have a safety meeting until September, we're just rolling with what we have.
That's fine,
So, yes, I will make sure I have the same stuff.
appreciate it.
Any other feedback? Questions, comments? Sarah?
And obviously, the cell phone policy will go in there
Oh, yeah.
soon.
All right. to approve FMS Staff Faculty Handbook, made by Leanne, seconded by Jane. Any questions, comments? Someone's ready. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
All right, Paul Smith School with Jay.
All right. Yes.
Page 4.
I'm so sorry. I was just looking through something, and something was sticking out to me, and now I figured out what it was. I think this is page 48 on the middle school handbook.
Uh-oh, it may not be 48 anymore. All right, hold on, let me go down, what is it about?
Page 48.
Are you talking about the faculty?
This is the faculty handbook.
Do you have that as 48?
I don't know, I'm on Paul Smith standby.
Sorry, guys. Do you see there's a 10 just sitting in here?
Yeah, I do see that.
Which, are you on mine?
So on page.
Yeah.
Do you want me to come down with my
48.
current one, because?
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody sees what I see.
48.
48. The last bullet point above hall passes.
There is,
Yeah.
it's a 10, a
There's-
row
yeah.
10.
Row 10,
Yeah.
The number 10.
Good job.
I see a 10 there, but it's not rogue.
In the last bullet point. Oh, the one in the drive it in.
What is it, we're in hall passes? And
Just
that's
above hall
for-
passes.
That's a very minor change, so I think we're good with that.
wait a minute.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry,
I
guys.
have to
No?
stop
No, it's okay, I'm just looking for
after exterior doors.
fundraising.
Yeah.
Under para?
That's faculty, right, your faculty.
48.
What's that?
FMS faculty.
Oh, have to go in tomorrow.
Yeah, but I just got rid of a bunch of stuff, that was why I was trying to figure out which way I'm
This is
going.
nice.
Emergency
Wait.
plan.
It's totally different.
We
Hall
moved on.
passes.
There.
Okay. Oh, you know why? Because somebody moved the numbered thing over, and that should go. Look at that.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good eye.
I didn't even know what was wrong.
Even the,
You just knew there was a
Standing there,
problem.
I'm like,
Something's not right here.
Okay, back to Paul Smith.
Sorry about that.
page 4, you have Cheyenne Civiello twice in there. She's so good, she's in there twice. Oh, excellent. Page 13. Page 13. Social networking. Could you just take a look at the current policy and update some of those? Because it says, Franklin School Board strongly discourages school district staff from socializing with students or the board members on social networking websites, including but not limited to MySpace and Facebook.
We must have upped that.
Though it is, our policy is updated.
Okay.
We,
Are you aging us,
page
Jay?
13. Yep.
The staff are resigning.
We struck MySpace and we included Twitter and Instagram.
We're so hip. Oh my
MySpace
God.
is how I learned HTML.
So just social networking, just make sure that the top matches the policy.
Is MySpace still out there at all?
It is. There's nobody on it.
There's nobody's on it.
Musicians are on it.
Musicians are.
It's not anybody's space.
But even though Twitter doesn't exist ananymore, it's still in our policy, so we have to put it.
I refuse to acknowledge.
So you got that, Jay?
Yeah, I'm emailing myself.
Okay. I don't know why. Page 14, GBEBA. Uh-oh. I don't know.
You just did that, didn't we?
I don't know what that is. Heard of
Oh, the dress
yeah, GBEBA, I want to go to the policy committee.
GBEBA.
So no change right now?
Sounds so hopeful, Jeff.
As long as we got no flippy floppies, because it says no flippy flops. Oh, wait, no, this is the teacher one, that's the student one. Student one says no flippy flops, that's
Oh,
fine.
okay. We'll still look at it.
GBEBA.
So teachers can wear
No, flip flops is explicitly stated in the student teacher one.
The student family one or the?
Excuse me, yes, you're right, I'm sorry, the student family one. Yeah, individual or separately, yes.
They can't wear it for certain, they can't wear it for certain, open candidates for certain things.
Like Jim.
One of the handbooks does say is you can't wear them at all. And then later on in that paragraph, it says you, for some classes, you have to have closed-toed shoes.
Yeah, I knew.
But it says no flip-flops at all. So I just wanna make sure if it says it in there, we're doing it, that's
Well,
all.
flip-flops and closed-toed shoes aren't necessarily synonymous, because you can have sandals or flats with toes that are.
Oh, I know,
Listen, yeah.
I know, I know.
Zelda.
Don't talk to me about dress code. Ooh-wee.
I have two girls in white.
It's true.
And then policy JLF, we gotta refer to policy committee. We kinda did it, but it references JLF one,
The form.
the form JLF-F1.
Yeah, okay.
And I've looked everywhere on the website
think
to
it's-
find
We don't have it.
JLF-F1 anywhere.
Because
Okay.
the policy committee got rid of all the dash ones, because they're procedures.
Right, but usually we'll retitle that JLF-F form as the reporting form.
Oh.
So we have to
Yeah.
strike it in the policy and then have it
Oh.
available, because I checked staff, I checked parents, I checked forms, I checked SAU, like, I could not find it anywhere. So that's a
So do we need
policy
to look at
thing.
the policy, or do we need to update the handbooks to just reference JLF and not JLF1?
I don't think the handbook, if it references JLF-F1, then we do have to change the handbook,
Yeah,
but I know we definitely have to change the policy.
okay. Oh, because this policy, the policy still references it? Oh, it
Yes.
does.
That's correct.
Okay, yep.
No, I think you're okay.
It's just a policy.
It's a policy thing that was brought to my attention after going through it.
Okay.
And that's it. Nice job.
Any other questions, comments, feedback? All right, I'll take a motion. What's this motion? This motion to approve the Fall Smith School faculty staff handbook.
I'm gonna
Love that.
second it, because we get the dynamic too.
Seconded by Jane. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes.
All right, fantastic. Okay, we are 1 week away from the opening of school with students next Tuesday. So I thought it would be nice for you to hear from each of the principals about where we're at, how we're doing, and our readiness for being ready for opening day with students next Tuesday. So who would like to go for? Ginny, why don't you go first, since everybody else has had a chance to go first?
So, for the first time in ages, we are like almost totally fully staffed. So we're really excited. We have brought on some really excellent people who seem totally enthralled with middle schoolers as a whole. And we know they'll love ours because ours are amazing. And this year, every new teacher will have a mentor, even if they've had experience as a teacher somewhere else. We're trying to superly support all of the new staff and make sure that they are comfortable in the school and with the students. Tomorrow is their new teacher orientation day, and we have Michelle Davis from the middle school who just got her master's degree, and she has been, her capstone project was working on retention, attracting and retaining quality educators. So she has created a whole new teacher handbook that she has done an outstanding job with. So she's going to be working with all of our new hires, and she completed this book with obviously administrative input, but she's super excited to spend time with them and to provide FMS-specific mentoring for them, as well as what Jewel Finley provides as our curriculum director for the district. So we're really excited. We've got some fabulous people on board. We've got some new things coming up. We are going to be doing an all-school morning meeting at the beginning of every week and an all-school closing meeting at the end of every week. And this is a way for us to model the responsive classroom practices that will help with the culture and climate. And this initiative is being, it's being embraced by everybody in the front office, but especially kudos is going to go to our climate specialist, Julie Westcott, because she's the one who's doing the lion's share of the work, helped by Carissa Carreau, who has also been helping her. What we want to do is make sure that all of our advisory and all of our meetings that they're holding are seamless for the teachers. It's not something else for them to have to plan and do. So they will have all of the plans for every advisory meeting, for every morning meeting. They'll have ideas for all the activities, and then, as I said, we're going to be modeling them with the entire school twice a week. So if you're around on a Monday morning or a Friday afternoon, I highly recommend you stop by. I think it'll be fun. Questions? Wonderings?
All right, Dave, you're up next.
It's gonna be great.
Very succinct.
We lost one math teacher when we returned, and we got 2 new ones, so we're excited about that. I think our goal some of this year, we talk about being all in, be intentional, have insight, and be innovative. So we did move some people around in the building to make things more centrally located. So the school counselors are now up where they originally were, probably 25 years ago, next to MySpace. 40 years ago. Rebecca and her team are now in the former guidance offices right up by the stairs. So they have those 2 offices plus a conference room. Because we have an SRO this year, his office is right next to the main office where the 3 bathrooms are. So that's kind of a hub where people are busy, so having a police officer there is always enjoyable. And the school psychologist is gonna be housed here at the high school, so he's gonna be upstairs next to special ed in the old provider room. The provider room has been moved into my space, so there's a little conference room, so we moved everything in there. It's also a space where we can have meetings with parents where it's comfortable and not as threatening as a principal behind a desk or things like that, or talking with students, so next to Taylor. So those are the big movement changes, so trying to make the center of the building the hub of everything for academics and support services for students. This is probably the most organized we've ever been going into my 4th year, so we have less to talk about and more stuff to do in the sense, but everybody's been here, so again, only losing Dave Bedard should be a nice change in transition. We have a leadership team meeting tomorrow to review what's gonna happen with the Bar Foundation, one of our grant providers, so that's a 3-hour meeting tomorrow with our leadership team and rolling those out. One of the things that we're doing this year is we're not having faculty meetings, we're using faculty meetings as professional learning communities. So instead of me going and saying something, those memes, this could have been an email, but that's what they're gonna get is an email, and then the faculty meetings will be more professional learning communities led by our leadership team. I think the other big change for us is without an assistant principal, we've shifted duties and responsibilities. So Jamie Smith is gonna take on some responsibilities with supporting myself, as well as a new behavior specialist supporting myself in different things and just sharing responsibilities. Much more distributed leadership as opposed to a top-down mentality with some of those things. So really excited about that opportunity. Adding Stephanie, who's connected to the community, will be a nice addition for us. So she's gonna be helping with some ELOs and just different things like that. So I think we're in a really good place as far as what's happening. What's nice is the handbooks, if you've seen them, all of us are getting less and less corrections and adjustments because we're starting to get into the same rhythm. So hopefully next year Jack won't have any questions. But, optimistic and looking forward to having everybody back and to get this place buzzing again. Questions?
All right, we are absolutely ready to welcome students come next week. We're really excited about it. This Thursday, we're doing meet the teacher / open house. And the PTSO will be there, and the Cub Scouts will be there with tables to hand out information to the students. You heard Lori talk earlier about an opportunity that came up, which I'm really excited about. And it did kind of come to fruition with 4th grade staying at PSS. And to give a little bit more detail about it, at the beginning of the year, Dave Cole and Rebecca Labrie
and Matt Byer, so Dave, are gonna work together to provide some additional instruction for students in grades 3 and 4. Dave will focus on the technology side of it, and Rebecca and Matt will focus on the guidance side of it. And then, in the next phase, Tricia Kent will do some additional reading instruction for students in 3rd and 4th grade. And then towards the back end of the year, the Title I team will do writing with the students. We are in the 2nd year of our kindergarten start to the school year. The way we've kind of organized that staggered start for kindergarten, it worked extremely well last year, so we're very excited to do that this year as well. Teachers have been in the building pretty much all summer, not just for ESY and Title I summer school, but to get their rooms ready. And the really great thing about that is that they can't help themselves, but they jump in. So when a parent comes into the office and has a question, if the teacher happens to overhear it, they start to help with the answer. And the really neat thing about that is just before I came to the board meeting tonight, I answered the phone and was talking with a mom on the phone, and she could not stop saying how many times it was over and over again how great it was to be able to go to the school and see folks there and get answers to her questions. And the end result of that is school hasn't even started yet, and she has this very positive connection to the school, which we're gonna continue to foster throughout the school year. I'm super excited on a personal note. And you probably saw it in my board report. I'm starting something called PSS Parent Connections. Twice a quarter, where moms and dads can come in and just meet with me for an hour. There will be an agenda, but the first meeting is coming up in the middle of September, and that meeting is devoted to sharing with parents the CSI school improvement plan and answering any questions they have about that. So I think that's gonna be a great thing for moms and dads to be able to get more information about what's going on at PSS. And I'm hoping that Trish Kent will piggyback with me on that particular idea, because we've started some really detailed conversations about doing some reading events and doing some math events. So I'm hoping that Trish will continue to foster that idea. Oh, I forgot.
But wait.
There's more. So, right at the end of the school year, I was contacted by, I'm trying to find his name right now. I will find it, but it's not, of course, when you want something in your email, you can never really find it. But I was contacted by a gentleman who is a karate teacher here in Franklin. He has his class at the Vesey Rowell Community Center. And he has an organization called Empowered Youth Development and Powerful Kids. And the students in his karate class wanted to do a community service project and learn about leadership. And they selected PSS to benefit from.
Is it Rob Rowe?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
thought so.
To benefit from what they are doing. So they hosted a little event. He emailed me today, and he will be coming to school tomorrow with the students. They've stuffed 20 backpacks, and they also have some other school supplies. And I invited Dan to come over and be part of that. So that's an exciting thing.
I forgot one thing as well. So the WIC is opening for the first time, so Winnisquam Career Center. So we have kids, that's another, lot of moving parts. We already have kids starting college classes this week at LRCC. And then we have the WIC, and then another round. So it's a lot of moving parts happening right now. But we have kids already enrolled in biology right now, or taking classes over at LRCC.
Thank you. All right, I want to invite the board to our opening day to welcome back staff, which is this Wednesday morning. We have breakfast, pictures at 7:30, breakfast 7:45. Opening ceremony started about 8 o'clock, right here in the high school cafeteria. So, board members, if you can make it, that's wonderful. You can get your picture taken, get you a personalized school board badge. You can partake, obviously, in the breakfast and just be part of the celebration that we have. Usually runs for about an hour and 10 minutes or so. But if you can free yourself up for an hour or two, it'd be great to see you here to welcome back about 170 staff members. This Wednesday morning, we're gonna do it indoors because we have a training that they'll go right into right after the welcoming part, don't know your schedules and all that, but it'd be great to see as many of you there as we can get, so. And with that said, that's all I have for now. I do have a late item for later.
Exciting. Okay, we will move on now to item 11, school board goals update. I don't know if the school board goals committee has an update, or if we just want to go over the new goals we created.
I think probably one of the new goals that we created, I mean, we haven't met as a committee.
Okay.
We all
Okay, yeah, okay.
participated in them.
Do you all have a meeting scheduled?
No, we do need to get one scheduled.
Okay, we'll add that, we'll make that another little late, scheduling finance and scheduling that one. I have those called up, if you want me to just read, or, oh, so, yeah, it is tiny. There we go. So, we as a board had our retreat last week, and we were able to review our successes, chat a little bit about what's going on, work on superintendent goals, and we also created 3 new goals for this upcoming year. Our first one is a maintenance goal, and it reads, by June 2026, we will have continued to support, implement, and improve instituted efforts, including volunteer breakfast, onboard guiding, and attendance at school and community events, which is wonderful because now everything that we started this year, we will upkeep and it won't just kind of go by the wayside, which is fantastic. And we have our school board goals committee who will help make sure that all that happens. Our second goal is a communication goal. It is by November 2025, develop regular and consistent distribution channels to get school district messages out to the public, including at storefronts, on social media, and in public spaces. That's part of our goal to connect with the community. And our third one is an advocacy goal, and that one reads, by August 2026, we will increase advocacy on behalf of Franklin Public Schools regarding public school funding at multiple levels, including community, city, and state, as measured by a pre- and post survey that will go out to the public, I think in October, and increased communication in the form of meetings and deliverables. So those are our 3 big goals going into next year. We're excited that we have this process and that we get to continue this process. Those are our goals. Does anybody have any other comments or things they'd like to say about our goals? Okay. Those are our goals. Yeah, we will continue to work on them. All right. So we'll move on now to item 12, policy. I would like to start from the bottom up and get all the ones out of the way that will probably not have discussion, and then we can kind of end with that. So first, I'd like to bring everybody down to withdrawal. So per the NHSBA, because there is a new policy that we have to implement, JICJ, we do need to withdraw JICJ-1 and JICM. So we need a motion for that. So moved, okay. Motion made by Michael. Seconded by Marie. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? The withdrawals go through. Next up, we have for first read, so just to get them on everyone's radar, we have BEDG, EBCH, and EHAG. Any motion for that? All right, move those into first. Moved by Leanne. Seconded by Lori. Any questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right. And then we have 3 that were first read last month. And they're for second read, so these will go in and be official after today if we go forward with them. Those are IJ, IKFJ, and JG. Can we have a motion? All right, motion made by Jack. Seconded by Jane. Any questions, comments, discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now we get the fun things. So we'll start. So we have 2 policies that are on what we call fast track. So instead of going through the regular first read, second read, these need to be implemented before the start of school, which is next Tuesday. So we'll start with AB. the parental bill of rights. It was available to peruse in our folder and is also, as stated, it is in the handbooks now as well. So that is policy AB. We can start with a motion on that to approve that.
Motion to adopt policy AB.
Okay, motion made by Jack, seconded by Leanne. Questions, comments, discussion? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. AB is adopted. Thank you. And we have finally JICJ. This is the cell phone policy. We had the forum last week. And the policy, the draft policy that's in there is based off of listening to what the people of the city have told us. So we'll start with a motion on that, and then we can have some discussion. So again, fast track, so this would be to adopt policy JICJ.
Motion to adopt policy JICJ.
All right, motion
Second.
motion made by Jack, seconded by Ruth. Questions, comments, discussion?
No question.
All right, Michael and then Marie.
The third offense,
Yes.
are we gonna frisk students?
Does it say we're going to do this?
No, but how are we gonna know, so if I'm understanding the third offense, action, right, they will go to school, if they get caught with the phone, right, they have to give it to the administrator, the principal, the superintendent has to hold it, the parent has to come get it, and furthermore, all devices must be surrendered to the main office upon arrival at the start of the school day for a period of time to be determined. When they walk into the building, if they say, no, I don't have a phone, how are we gonna know?
We would rely on an answer, we're not going to do it, but if it's found that they have a phone later, they would know that it was a difference from what they had previously stated.
Okay.
Good question. Yeah, that probably makes sense. Marie?
And kind of along those lines, I'm wondering if we couldn't amend the first offense to include a phone call to the parents. I know if I were a parent and my child got the cell phone out, I wasn't notified, but the second time I was told I had to take a day off of work or take some time off of work to come pick it up, I'd be a little perturbed about that I wasn't aware that there was even a first offense. And it seems to me that if there was an opportunity for the parent to know about the first offense, that it might be preventable. You know, they might have this conversation and the parent says, and it might prevent the second, I don't know, I'm just putting it out there for thought.
Yeah, good question. We did cover that a little bit last week. Dan, do you want to?
So
Speak to that.
I'm not sure, I guess we talked about this as an admin team as well. I mean, you know, the thought about, you know, let's say you're in the hallway as an administrator and you've got 6 kids in the hallway and you say, all right, guys, put those cell phones away, right? Which is a possible scenario, potentially, right? Especially if they have them on their person. I guess, this is really a high school situation, because the middle school already has this kind of approach, so I'm not really worried about the middle school. I just wonder how in the high school we're gonna communicate a warning to every parent, and by phone especially. I'm wondering if an email potentially may be some kind of, blanket email that we could use that would, we'd send to a parent or guardian and say, hey, this is your student's first warning, we caught them with a cell phone or something like that. I think an email or some kind of notification like that is more doable. I don't know how we would keep up with trying to make phone calls to parents at the high school level. And it's not always, you're not even always able to connect with a parent over the phone. A lot of times you're just leaving a message and stuff. So I would be more supportive of saying that we're gonna put some kind of email out that says, hey, your child, had a first violation of the cell phone policy, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm thinking about, just an avenue to contact the parent some way. And if they don't read it or they don't get the message, well, too bad for them. But my other concern is the high school, the kids he's in one class, he gets caught, gets his first warning, he goes to a second class, another teacher has no idea there was a first warning, so now he's got another first warning, and that just, I don't know how, I mean, I'm just worried about, not worried, but I'm just like, how is this enforceable?
Well, we started the conversation last week before the forum as an admin team. We continued the conversation today after the forum and before this meeting. I mean, I think the first couple of days of school is all about educating the kids. So, it's class meetings, it's individual meetings with, classes. And I don't think we're talking about, we're gonna see a cell phone Tuesday at 9 o'clock, and then we're gonna, take it away from the kid. I think this is a natural education,
Mhm.
and, there's we're gonna try and get kids to understand this stuff, and then we implement, and then we act on it. But it's a process, it's not an instantaneous, 7:30 in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, the cell phone police aren't, we have to educate the kids first, and we have to talk to them about it, we have to encourage them and get them to understand that, hey, this is now a law. This isn't, just because your administrators are saying we don't want you to have phones in school, this is a law. And we also have to have teachers understand that, this isn't just the administrators saying they don't have anything else to do here. This is us saying, we have a law that we need to enforce, and we need all of us to work on how we're gonna do this together. Looking at some of this, I guess I wonder, and we talked about this at the admin team, and, certainly the principals can weigh in on this as well. I guess I wonder about, this is a second offense, about whether or not we actually have to have a parent come in and pick it up on the second offense. And whether or not we would be better served to say that the kid, we take it away from the student and the student picks it up at the end of the day, as the second offense. And clearly, the communication would still go out, like we've talked about for the first one. But for me, it's like, if I'm the administrator, so the first offense is an email that says, hey, Johnny was caught with a cell phone, violation of cell phone policy, this is his first warning. Please be advised, the next situation, it will be, his cell phone will be, removed from him. But I just worry about calling the parents in on the second one and the third one, and whether that's, I don't know how manageable that is. I know it would seem to make more sense from a progressive discipline point of view, that first one is, you get the warning, the email warning. Second is, we're taking it from you, but you can pick it up at the end of the day, obviously, we're gonna let your parents know that. And then the third one is, you know what? We've worked with you, we've done what we could, clearly you're not understanding, so now your parent has to come pick it up. And now we have to have that conversation with the parent that says, if John's gonna bring his his phone to school now, he's gonna turn it in the morning for, a period of time determined by the principal based on policy. To me, that seems like a better flow than having the parent come in on the second time. So just something to think about.
A couple of just quick things. First off, policy, incredible job getting this turned out so quickly. Absolutely incredible. So I agree with you, Dan, but I also am mindful of the feedback we got from the community, which actually seemed very in favor of very proactive communication very early and collection of the device. I wonder if on that, just to kind of back up what Marie was saying, I like the idea of an email. I like the idea of an old school, like, letter home that has to be signed and returned, even better, because just to kind of, again, like back what Marie was saying, that puts the onus completely on them at that point, right? There's no way they don't know the policy, right? We collect it, we have it, and then if there is a second offense, right, we can always pull that out and say, look, you knew, right? Like, you knew you'd have to be here to come get it now. Just a personal thought, but I think as it's written is very good, and review it.
Yeah, I think we're gonna walk a fine line here between policy and procedures.
Yeah.
So I just want just you to be cautious about thinking about the policy level and letting the administrators think about the actual implementation level and how to manage that.
I think what might work is, letting administrators work it out. I think change of language, first offense, warning, and communication to parent/guardian. That way we can kind of see, if it's the entire school, we're probably not gonna get everything mailed out. Email may be better. If they do letters and there's 0 return rate, like maybe we do that. If emails aren't getting anybody, like, so I'd be tempted on a policy level to do warning and communication to parent and guardian, and then let that kind of play out as it is to kind of have that flexibility. The second offense, I think, again, the forum was, the people there were very clear, and I am also aware, Concord Monitor certainly had some opinions, that we do have one of the more lenient policies, which I support students being able to have it off, but on their person, because I think there is a larger, community. I think this is, in order to not burden teachers, teachers shouldn't be the ones solely enforcing this. I think we need to show that good faith to students, to say, we're trusting you, join us in this. And to parents, this is going to be on you as well. The second offense, you have to come in because we really, really want this, we need this to work. And so I think I was in favor of the severity of the second offense based on the feedback we received at the forum, and I think our approach in kind of protecting teachers, and knowing that we can review this. That's just my opinion on the second offense. I can see it both ways, so I'm not sure how we want to push forward with that. Kayla?
I agree with Dan in the sense of it should be an email, it's almost like a receipt, so it's known that it's been sent out. There's probably parents, multiple emails that are sent out, all of those emails linked to that child. And then I do agree with Dan in the sense with the second offense, it might be challenging for parents who work certain shifts or have jobs to come down and thread it. I like this idea of sending home a paper at that time and making a signature. I think an email's a great idea.
Can I get a sense of, 'cause I don't wanna go through motion and then amending motion, I think that's ridiculous. Can we get a thought of second offense, parent having to pick up, and second offense, confiscation, so kind of moving from a 3 offense to like a 4, or no, the third offense would then be the only one, it would be confiscation and the meeting, it would be that.
I'm parent picking on it.
Parent picking, okay. That is so distracting. General sentiment on as is parent needing to pick up on the second offense. Are we in favor of that, or would we be in favor of going a little bit more lenient and having it just confiscated in student?
We need a motion on how it's originally written first. Do we have a motion to adopt?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, we're already in there.
So to create picking up as a third offense and then a fourth offense is the one
No,
that's
it would
currently
probably
third.
be, I misspoke, I
Okay.
apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
The second one would, so 3, so the second one would just be student, it's confiscated, student picks it up at the end of the day, and the third one would remain as is, confiscation, parent pickup, and talk about the plan. Yeah.
I was thinking about some sort of language, like, in terms of the second offense, administration can be contacted if an extraordinary event has occurred. I'm thinking about like grandparents raising their grandchildren, and maybe it's wintertime and it's dark at 4:30, and it's not safe for them to drive here. I don't know. But I guess I do wonder about something where, if it's left as it is, administration can be contacted to discuss an extraordinary circumstance.
I think that would be open in general, like, at the like if somebody's like, well, a parent or guardian doesn't agree with it, like, they can contact the administration and be like, oh, I don't, like, I think they can always contest it, I think, especially at the beginning.
I mean, I'm more so thinking about the action of the pickup. Like, I can't get there and do it. I'm thinking about that action occurring.
Okay.
I don't know.
It does say under exceptions that superintendents and designees can approve additional exceptions on case-by-case basis. So that would be that leniency of being able to reach out and saying, we're having a family emergency.
I guess some of what I'm saying is that, you know, if I'm the administrator, and I'll speak for Dave, because Dave's being quiet right now, and this primarily is a high school situation. But if I'm a high school administrator and I say to the student, I say, look, Johnny, I need your phone, work with me, because I can give it back to you at the end of the day. So I'm trying to preserve the relationship there, to say, look, we can work through this. If there's no incentive at all for the kid to give it up, it's gonna escalate, and it's gonna escalate to the point where the student's gonna do more than just not give it away. And then we're gonna be looking at other disciplinary actions, and that's what we're trying to prevent, and we don't want teachers involved in that at all. But we still need to have our administrator trying to preserve the relationship with the student. So it's a lot easier for us to say to the kid, hey, work with me here. You know, I don't wanna have to call your parent and have your parent come in and take this away from you. You know, so what we're saying is give up your phone, this is your second offense. You can get it at the end of the day in the main office, you know, and obviously we'll have to let your parent know. It's not the first time you would have already talked to the kid, because you would have already talked to them the first time around. But that's a lot easier back and forth between a student and administrator than it is to say, give me your phone and I have to have your parent pick it up. At that point, there's no incentive at all for the kid to work with you at all. And most high school kids, remember, they're teenage brains, guys, they're not adults. They're gonna escalate and go off the handle, and then now we have a cell phone issue, but now we're gonna also have a suspendable issue, because they're gonna swear at the administrator, or they're gonna have it melt down, and what have we accomplished at that point? We've made it worse. Now we have a cell phone issue and we have a disciplinary issue. So all I'm suggesting is if I'm an administrator and I had the latitude for this, 90% of the kids will work a lot better with that than just saying I have no option but than to have your parent pick your phone up. I mean, it's like giving them the death penalty when I can work with them a little bit. That's all I'm suggesting.
And if we add the communication piece to the first one, then we are still getting that extra layer of communication home. So it's kind of like a give and take thing. So parents will be communicated with earlier in the process, like, hey, the first one did happen, but then they won't have to come in, but they'll still get, will they get communicated with in the second offense?
Yeah,
Yes.
they have to be. And the third.
Yeah,
And
okay,
the
but
third,
they won't, they'll only have to come in on the third. Okay.
That's part of what I'm suggesting here is, you know, you gotta understand that we have to navigate the policy that you put in place. And we have to put procedures in place that allow us not to make it just, because I just need you to know that Dave and I have a lot more to do than just work on cell phones for the next 2 months. You know, middle school, I'm not worried about it, they already have this policy, they've been working on this. You know, I think the middle school is gonna be fine. The high school, this is a dramatic change. So we need some latitude to get our kids to say, hey, you know, we're here to support you and stuff, and this is a law that we have to follow, but we're willing to work with you here.
Yes, Jeff?
So I'd like to make an amendment to D1 to add after warning and parent-guardian notification. And that'll leave it open as to what notification system they wanna do. If they wanna do ALMA, they wanna do email, they wanna do a phone call, they wanna do a letter, sign, whatever they like to do. And then in the second offense, I would like to change, it would say parent guardian will be contacted and student can pick up the device from the principal or superintendent's office at the end of the day.
Can I just give you another example of the flexibility that we have to have? So I'm gonna go back to Tim Dow. So with attendance policy, right, with the 7, you know, the 3, 5, 7, and we see kids who make a change right away and nothing happens for 6 months. And then if we hit them and say, six months ago, you did a cell phone policy, now I'm gonna take your phone or I'm gonna call home, I think having that flexibility, like, oh, looks, you've been great. You made a mistake today, let's just work together on it that way. And And that's the approach that we took with Tim Down. That's how the policy got shifted a little bit, where we weren't sticking it to the kids 6 months after they made a really positive change and there hasn't been issues. I think that's the flexibility that sometimes we need to keep the relationships, not only with the student, but with the parent.
Thank you. All right, so the amendment made by Jeff, you got a second on the amendment.
Second.
Second by Kayla.
We've had this policy before, and it was, as it's amended now, and it's been much more beneficial and easier to handle from an administrator's perspective. So,
So all's in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, amendment passes. So now we can go to the actual motion. Any other comments, discussion?
I just got one comment, and we talked about this in the policy. I would like to see it, you guys put it however you want, but I think the kids need to understand that if they don't go along with this policy, that there could be a potential in the future that we simply ban phones, or that they have to be kept in a locker, or it would get harder for them if they don't follow the policy. Maybe that would be a device, or, something that they can use as well. So it just, to parents as well as to students, so that they understand that we are being lenient at this point, but if we don't make it work, or if they fight us on it, then we're gonna have to move in another direction.
I think that's the messaging that we use. And I can say, look, the board was very supportive of students, and will only remain supportive if you follow through with what you need to do as student. I mean, that messaging can flow right all the way down. I mean, I think you guys have been wonderful about how to implement this without starting World War III in the building.
Good point, Leanne, and I saw we got a thumbs up from Ginny, so we have some buy-in. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Okay, so motion is to adopt policy JICJ, unauthorized communication on devices. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. By God, we did it. Okay. Yay.
Nice job, everybody.
Yay. Okay. Hey.
I will
final-
point out too, a title has been added, nobody pointed that out, but Dan and I
Oh,
noticed it earlier,
added.
there's no title on that policy,
Ooh.
but
We
there
did
is
add
now,
a title, yes.
Thank you.
just so people know.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll fast track the unnamed policy. Oh, God. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so we'll move on from policy to late items. I know we have 2 groups to schedule, but Dan, I also know you had something.
Yes, so we got a joint finance agenda, I think over the weekend, and I might have forwarded it to you, or emailed or texted about it. So we just wanted to talk real quick about the joint finance meeting. There were items on there, I'm not sure, I'm assuming they came from the city side. I'm not aware, Mike, if any of the items came from us,
No.
right?
So, no, the city, it's kind of the city's turn, and they produced this agenda.
I just wanted the members of the joint finance committee to just be aware of the origination of the agenda items came from us. Jefferson and I will get prepared for tomorrow night's meeting and have the information, and we're gonna need to go over as well. Gabriel next items is on special education. So we'll have all that information for tomorrow night's meeting. I know one of the items was something about the PTO, and I don't know, Lori, if you know where that came from or what that's about, but.
So I had mentioned that I reached out to Justine because I had not heard about that in any of our meetings that we had had. And she was approached by one of the city council members to come and speak on that. Her thought is that it's in regards to parents being more involved in understanding the restraints that the school has financially, and they would maybe be more responsive or supportive of changes in the break or tax cap or something like that. But I think it's not just the parents, it's the community that needs to understand that. So I don't know, I don't think it was, a very specific ask, is what I gathered.
Okay.
But I don't wanna speak for Justine, that's kind of what I gathered from it was, that's what she believes it was in regards to him.
So I just wanted to make sure that any members of the joint finance team, that you're aware of the agenda items. If there's anything specific you wanted from Jefferson or not, to make sure you let us know tonight, so we're prepared for tomorrow night, so.
So, because it says PTO to present. So, can you just restate that it was a request of the PTO to do this presentation?
No, it was not. It was a request of a city council member for the PTO to come and present. The PTSO rather, sorry.
Could they present to the school board?
They did. PTO came here.
This particular one?
I'm not sure if they came, Justine came specifically on this, prior, but it was a request made by the city side.
For finance?
For finance. Again, I don't have the reasoning for the city to request it.
Don't we have I know one exists, the city school liaison committee. That's where I see this particular presentation sort of living. I don't know why it's on the finance. That's where asking PTO to finance the school.
I agree.
I'm just confused.
Yeah, I am also confused. This seems like something that either should be a school board, a presentation at the school board, a presentation at the monthly city council meeting, or something that so currently the liaison committee is, currently. So if that should be brought back to life, so to speak. This does seem like a little scope creep, just from my perspective from reading it. So yes, I share the confusion.
And I agree, I think it's beneficial. I think it's a beneficial conversation to have, absolutely, 100%. I'm just not sure this is the right avenue for it.
Agreed.
And that's, I had questioned about it, like where'd they come from?
Yeah.
And what's the purpose behind it? I was a little confused by it as well.
Jane, did you wanna?
No, I
You're
just
good? Okay.
heard joint finance.
Okay.
But I agree with everything you said.
So I can only speculate, but I do see like questions here regarding paras and special education in general. I'm wondering if some of the thought process, and again, it's pure speculation, is trying to understand maybe where we can help the students improve performance to help improve like external funding, like state funding, let's say, right? If assessment scores go up, is there?
We'll get less funding.
Yeah, I think that would be a great point to.
I think that without background on some of this, it's really hard to.
Yeah, I don't,
we're
it's total, like I
guessing,
said, total speculation.
But I think, for me, and maybe I'm glass half empty, in regards to the paras, I would like it brought to the meeting that the requirements for special education, and, that it isn't a nice to have. It's a requirement of an
It's
IEP.
quite the process to go through.
Right,
to be
and
able
I would
to-
also bring up the fact that if we are not following an IEP, that can open us to risk,
I'd like to,
and the city to risk in that sense.
100%. I would like to assume positive intent here from all parties
We balance each other.
and say that, because those two para questions or points are followed by a discussion on special education, on the Special Education Consortium. So maybe they are trying, again, supposition, but maybe they're trying to understand, because the consortium might be most impactful for full-time special needs kiddos. So maybe they're trying to understand the actual like scope the applicability of the consortium, and how much impact it would actually have on our special education budget here, maybe?
I think that's a good point, I think it'd be good to clarify what students that consortium would service, I guess is the best way. You know, who's gonna end up there, right? And like Mike's saying, how will it impact special education for the kids that are still in the schools?
I just have to share that it's a growing trend, not only within our home city here, but state and federal, this increased scrutiny upon our kids that do have special education needs. So I'm hoping that the message can also be sent. We have other costs that have not been met besides our special education population. I mean, I really don't want the city to lose sight of, we do have some of the lowest paid staff within the surrounding areas. It's important to me that we take some of our more vulnerable students underneath that microscopic lens, which I'm just feeling is getting a little bit too close for my comfort level.
This did come up in the last meeting about why do we have so many students in this, and hopefully I clarified that it isn't a parent's choice.
Oh, I think you were crystal clear.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I agree.
That was one of the highlights of my.
Okay, so, it isn't just, there's a science behind it, right?
It's not big things. Leanne, I saw your hand.
So I'm not on the committee, but I'm gonna throw my 2 cents worth in here. I don't understand, I mean, you got this on Sunday, Saturday, Friday afternoon? You got it over the weekend. Your meeting's on Tuesday. There's items on the agenda with no explanation of what they're really looking for. I think as a group, you need to set some kind of rules or something that says you will have in hand an agenda at least a week prior to the meeting. And if there's things on there that you don't understand why they're on there, how do you bring the information they want if you really don't understand what they're looking for?
Can I address
So
that?
those questions need to be answered prior to the meeting.
So I think I share certainly some of the responsibility here as co-chair for the Joint Finance Committee. A couple of quick points. I think a draft agenda being shared amongst the entire group would be extremely valuable for everyone involved. And I don't want to speak out of turn here, but it did sort of come to our attention that there'd been some turnover on the city council side of the committee. I don't know if it's okay for me to speak specifics there.
I was gonna bring it up,
So, Tom Boyce, who had been the co-chair, my opposite number there, stepped down from the committee
Completely?
completely. Has been replaced with Al Warner, is now the new co-chair. And then Bruce Marshall has joined the committee, and Tim Johnston has been a member of the committee, though I don't think he's been able to attend any of the meetings yet. So a good takeaway, I think, for us, and maybe something we can bring up as a late item tomorrow, would be to work with Al and the rest of the committee to say, hey, we understand like things are shifting, but I think setting some expectations around an agenda, a draft being provided to the whole group. Because, yeah. Yeah. So, thank you.
Anything else? I love that. I think it's kicking off. I think it's a great learning opportunity, and I have full faith in our lovely Joint Finance Committee. And we'll get there. We'll get there. I would love to see this. The one thing that I will just toss in is goals for success and quantifiable measures. Again, I'm very aware of scope. I want this committee to remain small enough that things are manageable and progress is manageable, but also recognize that it is a committee and not a working group with there's no determined finish line unless you can make goals along the way, but a committee is so that you can deal with what's going on, and so just making sure that remains the focus, and like quantifiable measures of success in addition to standardized testing, like that is not going to necessarily solve the joint finance issues. So just making sure that that makes its way in. But again, I think that's part of still the feeling out process. So I will stop talking now because it is later. Jack.
But you bring up a fantastic point, because this is a committee, so this committee can't stand for the whole of the board. So we don't delegate authority to the members of this committee to make decisions on behalf of the board. So I just wanna make sure that that's evident when you're discussing the goals of the committee.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the authority as a lack of a forum
To make decisions.
So just keep that in mind. You may have to reiterate it.
Yeah, because they don't either, right?
Sure.
City council. That is a great point.
Committees, I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay. Thank you. Good point. Nice. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Finance and goals need to get scheduled. Let's do finance committee first.
How's everybody's September looking? September 24th, I think that was not okay for somebody.
The 24th is the
POG.
POG.
Oh, right.
So,
The
23rd.
23rd is,
I2.
I two.
18th.
Yeah, I can do that.
I can't do Thursday. Yeah, I can't do Thursdays.
The 16th?
Safety and policy.
What time we work?
let's do them all.
You have to do it after safety and policy.
Safety, policy, finance, that would be a long day.
y'all.
17th would work,
That's
17th.
my birthday, but okay.
Hey, we are having a school board meeting on
Hey,
my
I'm gonna be
birthday.
at the city council
So-
meeting on my birthday,
Well, we're going out for drinks after though.
on the 8th.
Are we looking at the 17th?
17th, sure.
You pick the time, birthday boy.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock finance on the 17th.
Five PM.
5 to 6:30.
Oh, POG?
Yeah.
Oh, it's early. Nice.
The 17th I'll be working in Manchester, so I can't guarantee I'll be back
Do
by
we want to do
5.
5:30?
5:30 should work.
5:30 finance.
And that's on the 17th.
On the 17th.
Okay. Finance done. Nice. Goals. Board goals committee. You're up. 17th after that.
So was it one of our goals to have our communication, done by November?
By November, yes.
We need to keep that in mind.
We have a couple things by the first week of October too.
Yeah, so can we squeeze in another meeting in September?
How about the 10th?
About the what?
The 10th.
I won't be here. I won't be back until, I won't be back until the 12th.
Next day I can do a meeting is the 30th,
The 29th and 30th are
or
open.
29th.
29th is the Franklin candidates night, just,
Oh, we can't
Oh,
do
that's
that.
right, that's right.
So it was-
it's the Franklin candidates night for,
Is the
Tuesday.
the 15th? What's the 15th?
Board meeting.
That's on the 22nd. Is it not?
We went to third,
Oh, we did, didn't we?
we went to third Monday, so board meeting in September coming is on the 15th, right?
That's what I have.
is,
15th, yeah.
Well, I'll be. Lord.
So, how do you feel about the 30th?
The 30th of September?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
What time do we wanna do?
I can be there anytime. I can be here at lunchtime. To get it over with, but you guys pick.
I'll go with you. I get out at 4:30, so anytime after that.
5 o'clock work, does that work for you? 5 o'clock on the 30th?
Right.
5 or 5:30?
5 is fine.
5.
We can do 5, yeah.
I'll bring chocolate covered pretzels.
Item 14, where is it? Agenda item 14, where is it?
It's ghost, it's the invisible,
Isn't it
invisible.
usually 13 that you don't put on there?
Listen, Linda.
Making sure I didn't miss anything.
Great question. 14 is prep for public participation. We have now completed item 14, prep for public participation.
All right,
I got one more late item.
Yes.
I just wanted to bring attention
To Dave's school board report. I wanted to ask him, but he left. So I asked him before he ran out the door how summer school went, because, we had talked about it was shortened and that they're preparing for no summer school. And so I just want to bring to your attention that it's in the drive. I had missed it. And it talks about it. So I just want to bring that to everybody's attention. Sounds like it went well.
Also, the 2025 Delegate Assembly registration is now open, so I will be getting in touch with our.
I've registered.
You did? Fantastic. Wow, thank you. Wonderful. Late item, Jane is amazing. Any other?
Do you need a motion?
Wait. Are there any other late items or other items? Dan, do we have a need for a second non-public?
No, we do not.
We do not. All right, we need to seal the non-public minutes. No, they're sealed automatically, aren't they?
No, they're not tonight. You want to make a motion?
That's really.
Oh, okay. So,
That's why it's at the end.
Make a motion to,
Second one?
I thought we did have to talk about it. Was there not a need for non-public?
no,
We did.
no, it was a late item. It was the late item.
All right, I make a motion to seal the non-public minutes of August 25th.
Second.
Motion made by Jack, seconded by Jane. Questions, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Item 18.
Did you do the public participation?
The what?
Public participation, did you do it?
Oh my gosh. I did item 14, the preparation for public
I know you
participation.
prepped for it.
Public participation. Do any of the members of the public wish to speak? Okay.
Hold on, tomorrow, the climate specialist at the middle school wants y'all to know about the bonanza that's happening at the middle school from 11 to 1.
Middle school bonanza, 11 to 1.
They're giving out,
Is it just middle school students, or is it all levels of students?
I think there's all levels of students, but I think a lot of the gear is tailored for middle school, yeah. But everything is free, and there's free pizza.
11 to 1. Bonanza, free pizza. Any other public participation? All right, we will close public participation. Item 18. Motion made by Jack, seconded by Michael. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?